Hand of Nephthys, which would allow you to special summon a Sacred Phoenix directly from your hand. Yeah. And Magician, destroy a monster when it's flipped face up, and could search out Hand of Nephthys, which would allow you to special summon a Sacred Phoenix directly from your hand. Yeah. And in this time period, decks were slow enough where you could realistically use both of Apprentice Magician's effects. So it was actually pretty good in this format. It's all playing competitive decks. Then it came off the ban list once they banned Breaker the Magical Warrior for the second time, and then they also banned Magician's Faith. So with those two cards banned, they didn't really need Apprentice Magician semi-limited anymore. So they put it to unlimited, and then left it there even after Breaker came off the ban listing. And then the speed of the game got to the point where it was no longer good. This one has a couple of good reasons as to why it's on the ban list, although you wouldn't have known that if you hadn't played your formats, as this card sees absolutely no competitive play in today's Yu-Gi-Oh! And that would be kind of the name of the game for, like, the first half of this list. Some of these cards were pretty decent during the time they came out, and that's why they were put on the ban list in some way, shape, or form, but are pretty compared to today's metagame. At number 9, we have Protector of the Sanctuary, limited to one copy per deck for like 3 years in the time period of 2004 to 2007. Now, what this card does is, while this card is out in the field, your opponent cannot draw cards except during a draw phase. So, on surface level, the way to use this card would be to stop your opponent from using things like on 3, or cards that let them draw outside of their draw phase. Of course, this card was rarely used for its intended purpose, and was almost always used in order to get rid of your opponent's hand. Because you see, there are certain cards in the game, like Disturbance Strategy, which force your opponent to shuffle their hand back into their deck and then draw the same number of cards. But if you had something like Protector of the Sanctuary out in the field, then they would just shuffle their hand back into their deck and draw nothing, and then they would just lose their entire hand to a 2-card combo, which is really good. That's why this card has a whole bunch of extra rulings in place, things you just have to know, where you basically cannot use the effects like Disturbance Strategy if Protector of the Shrine is on the field already. So you have to kind of cheat those extra rulings by chaining something like Call of the Haunted to Disturbance Strategy, so that you can get Protector of the Sanctuary out in the field as the chain resolves backwards. And then your opponent will lose their entire hand to a 3-card combo, except one that requires a little setup in the graveyard first. And since there were workarounds to its special ruling, this card was limited so you wouldn't be able to get rid of your opponent's entire hand so easily, especially when the meta in the early portions of Yu-Gi-Oh! Was to get rid of cards from your hand. But then eventually this strategy became outdated, was nothing more than a gimmick, so it got released from the ban list because it didn't really need to be limited anymore, nor did it really need to be limited in the first place. And at number 8, we have Marauding Captain. This card was semi-limited for 3 years, from 2002 to 2005. And what this card does is, when it's normal summoned, you can special summon a level 4 or lower monster from your hand. So it's really good at swarming the field from your hand, as they can
How do we want to
set
set things up?
Or monster in your hand. Especially in the early days, Yu-Gi-Oh!
I think I want to set up my farm first, so while I do everything else, I can...
It was most likely put on the ban list.
I don't think that's very realistic.
Your opponent target your warrior monsters for attacks, except
Let's move house
so
first.
2 copies of Marauding
How do I
Captain
want to separate the rooms?
warrior-type monsters, your opponent could not attack you, as the 2 captains would loop to each other in a way that made it so you were basically in attacks. And since Marauding Captain could special summon another Marauding Captain from your hand, this loop could be accomplished as long as you just had 2 copies of the card in your hand, which was incredibly easy to pull off. So it was limited to 2 copies to make it less likely to pull off the unattackable combo, until they eventually figured out it wasn't a big deal anymore, and just released it from the ban list. As without being able to destroy these cards by battle, the only way to break the effect loop was to destroy them by card effects. And there were lots of strong Speller Trap cards back then that could destroy monsters. But it wasn't the hardest thing to break against the average meta deck. But it was still something they didn't like very much, so they tried to restrict it with the semi-limit. And at number 7, we have Backup Soldier. This is a trap card that can only be activated if you have 5 or more monsters in your graveyard, which will then allow you to target up to 3 of your non-effect monsters with less than 100 attack in your graveyard, and then add them to your hand. So with full setup, this card is a +2 in card advantage, which is pretty good. And that's why this card was limited and semi-limited on the ban list for 2 years, in the very early parts of Yu-Gi-Oh! In like January 2001. Now, the reason this card was taken off the ban list is because back then, there wasn't really a good use for vanilla monsters with less than 50 attack. So, even if you could go +2 off of this effect, it required a lot of setup, and it didn't really give you cards. The best use of those monsters was probably just to use them as discard fodder with other things like Graceful Charity, which was still legal at this time. So I'm pretty sure this card was only on the ban list because it was a +2 on paper, which sounds good. And then it was eventually removed because those cards weren't very useful, especially in the early days of Yu-Gi-Oh! Before you could use low attack vanilla monsters as combo pieces. And at number 6, we have Yellow Gadget, which was semi-limited in the September 2007 format only, and was put back to unlimited in the very next format, and was never placed on the ban list ever again. And this card was semi-limited alongside the other two gadgets, and what the gadgets are is basically if one of them is summoned, they can search out one of the other two from the deck, except each one searches out a specific gadget. So if you play 3 copies of all 3 gadgets, you'll be able to search out all of them with only one gadget. Eventually. So the gadgets were always pretty decent, as each one was a +1 summoned, and they allowed you to consistently add monsters to your hand while supporting the field. But there was never really a good way to use them before Synchros came out in 2008, Machina Fortress came out in 2009, or until Exceeds Monsters came out in 2011. And you may notice all of the best uses of gadgets weren't until after they were semi-limited and put back to unlimited. So, why were they randomly semi-limited for this one format in 2007 before any of their good support came out? I don't actually know the real answer to this question, other than the fact that gadgets were always just kind of decent, especially if used with Ultimate Offering, and they were just released in English that year. But also, during the same ban list, they moved Pot of Avarice from limited to semi-limited, and then they also added the Transmigration Prophecy to the ban list for the first time, putting it at limited where it stayed for a really long time. And both of these cards directly help gadgets, as being able to recycle them back into the deck means the gadgets can keep adding cards to their hand longer. So I'd assume they semi-limited the gadgets because they didn't want to make Pot of Avarice too strong, and then immediately figured out that wasn't really a problem, so they just removed them from the ban list in the next format. And even when Exceeds Monsters came out, and the gadgets were actually super good when combined with Ultimate Offering, they didn't put gadgets on the ban list again, and instead just banned Ultimate Offering. So it was kind of odd that they appeared on the ban list in the first place. And at number 5, we have Gravekeeper's Servant. The continuous spell card, which has the effect where your opponent must send the top card of their deck to the graveyard in order to declare an attack. And this card was semi-limited on the ban list for about 3 formats early days, from July 2000 until January 2001. And Gravekeeper's Servant has a really good combo with cards like Macrocosmos that banishes all cards instead of sending them to the graveyard, where if you have these 2 cards out on the field at the same time, your opponent cannot declare an attack, since they can't technically send the top card of their deck to the graveyard. But these combos didn't exist this early on in Yu-Gi-Oh's history. So the reason this card was actually put on the ban list was because they thought effortless mill cards were good back then, so they just kind of hit a lot of cards randomly that could mill. And then eventually decided they weren't a big deal and removed the ban list. And even when Macrocosmos did come out, they did not put Gravekeeper's Servant back on the ban list. And at number 4, we have Drop Off. This card has an effect where, when your opponent draws a card for the draw phase, your opponent discards 1 card they just drew. And this card was semi-limited for 1 format starting in 2006, before it went back to unlimited in the very next format. Now, this effect is okay. It's basically just a 1-for-1 trade. It denies your opponent to their draw phase, essentially. But it's kind of limited in its uses, as it can only be played during your opponent's draw phase. You have to wait for your opponent's turn in order to get rid of that card. And that's only useful if you're trying to deny your opponent's hand from having cards in it in general. Otherwise, you could play any other combo extender or generic staple over Drop Off. And that's why this card was a staple in hand control decks, which were part of the first meta decks in the earliest formats of Yu-Gi-Oh!, as this card was played alongside Delinquent Duo, Confiscation, and the Forceful Sentry. So when these 3 cards eventually got banned, it would make sense that Drop Off just kind of got hit by association. But that's not really the case, because you see, the Forceful Sentry was banned a year earlier in March 2005. Delinquent Duo got banned 2 years earlier in 2004, before it came off the ban list for a little bit and then went back on the ban list in September 2005. Confiscation was still limited to one copy at the time drop-off was put to semi-limited. So, none of these dates really add up. It doesn't really make any sense why they semi-limited drop-off, and it wasn't really doing anything, since the days of the hand-control decks were long over by the time it got hit. But during the March 2006 ban list, the one which put drop-off to 2 copies, they also banned 8 other iconic cards. So it was a huge ban list for getting rid of overpowered cards in the game. So I think they just kind of went a little ban happy and hit drop-off since, well, it used to be played in good decks, and then figured out it wasn't actually that good. So they released it from the ban list in the next format, where it has never appeared on the ban list again since. And at number 3, we have Emergency Provisions, which I think is the only pure life point card to ever appear on the ban list, outside of the world's special ban list. And this card was semi-limited for a full year, from March 2005 to March 2006. And what this card does is it allows you to send as many of your other spell and trap cards on the field to the graveyard in order to increase your life points by 1,000 per card set. Now, normally, pure life point gain cards are not very good, unless you have a way of using life point gains to your advantage. And the reason people were using Emergency Provisions was because it was a quick play spell card that could send your other spell and trap to the graveyard.
What
The
the
fact that it
hell?
gave life points was kind of an added bonus, but I'm sure that people who used Emergency Provisions kind of wished it did something better, because during the same time period this card was semi-limited, they also put Good Goblin Housekeeping on the semi-limited list. Good Goblin Housekeeping allows you to draw a card +1 equal to the number of Good Goblin Housekeeping you have in your graveyard. Then you get to select one card from your hand and return to the bottom of the deck. So if you use this card with no copies in your graveyard, you go -1 off its effect. And that -1 continues to increase until eventually it turns into a +1 if you have 2 copies of the card in your graveyard. So if you combo this card with Emergency Provisions, you can activate Emergency Provisions in response to Good Goblin Housekeeping, or multiple copies of it, but then resolve backwards, sending the Good Goblin Housekeeping to the graveyard for their effects activate. And then their effects will still activate on the field, counting the copies of themselves in the graveyard for their own effects. So that would allow you to draw an additional card for each Good Goblin Housekeeping, and could turn its potential +1 into a potential +2, which could be transferred over to all the other copies if you played multiple at the same time. Now, this, surprisingly, isn't a super good combo, but Konami was limiting a lot of their draw cards in this time period, so they hit all potential combos no matter how consistent they were. And when Emergency Provisions came off the ban list, they didn't take Good Goblin Housekeeping off the ban list too until a year later, in March 2007, even though it wasn't really seeing competitive play very much. And at number 2, we have Injection Berry Lily. This card was limited in 2002, where it stayed until it was banned from one format in 2004. It was then put back to limited in September 2004, where it stayed until March 2007.
I
But
don't
was
know what to
taken
do
off
with
the
the
ban
roof.
completely.
I
And what this card does
I made the
is, when
roof,
this
but
card battles a monster, you can pay 2,000 life points to increase the attack of this card
don't
by 3,000
actually know
during the
what to
damage
do with it.
calculation only. So at 400 base attack, this card can beat over any monster with less than 3,300 attack. It was basically all the monsters in the game at that point. And since this was a level 3 monster that could beat over big D6 like Summon Skull, just by tons of life points, regardless if it was attack or attacking, they did pretty good in those days of beatdown decks. Because you could also use this effect if you were just attacking directly, for a large chunk of life point damage. However, this card wasn't that good, and definitely not ban worthy, as it's one of the 3 cards in the game's history that was only banned for one format. I think this card was only really banned because they didn't want a small, summon level 3 monster to be able to beat over boss monsters that require resources in order to break out, regardless if it was meta-defined or not, which is why it was an odd card to be placed on the ban list. Even if it was technically good, it never saw the amount of competitive play that would warrant its limitations. This card on the ban list seems more like an over precaution rather than being put on there for being used in the game. And since they were so afraid of this card potentially being good that it got banned, I think this card could easily take a top spot on this list, but not the number 1 spot. And at number 1, we have Dark Scorpion, Chick the Yellow. It was semi-limited for one format in March 2005. Now, normally, the Dark Scorpions are kind of a joke archetype for being bad, as the only good Dark Scorpion card that saw lots of competitive play was Dawn Zalu. Didn't even have Dark Scorpion in his name. Yet randomly, Chick the Yellow showed up on the ban list for one format before going back to Unlimited. So why was this card placed on the ban list? Well, because of its interactions with another ban card called Makura the Destructor. You see, Makura has an effect that when it's sent to the graveyard, you can activate trap cards from your hand for the rest of the turn. So if you use Call the Haunted from your hand in order to bring back Chick the Yellow, and if Chick the Yellow inflicted battle damage to your opponent, you can activate its first effect that allows you to target one card on the field and return it to the hand. So, if you then just targeted your own Call the Haunted, returned it to your hand, Chick the Yellow would get destroyed due to Call the Haunted's effect. And then you'd have the Call the Haunted back in your hand. And here's the thing about trap cards. All of them are spell speed 2 or higher, including the continuous trap cards like Call the Haunted. At spell speed 2, you can activate Call the Haunted during battle phase. Have the availability of activating trap cards from your hand with Makura's effect. So you could then just activate Call the Haunted from your hand during that same battle phase, bring back Chick the Yellow, who could then attack again and activate its effect to return Call the Haunted back to your hand. And then it would go back to the graveyard, and then you could just repeat this combo for an infinite amount of life point damage. So it seems pretty reasonable that they put Chick the Yellow on the ban list, since Call the Haunted was already a very heavily played staple in this era. And all they had to do was just play Makura and Chick the Yellow in order to potentially give them an unlimited amount of attacks during the battle phase, assuming they could attack directly. However, here's the interesting thing about the March 2005 format. This is the exact same ban list which banned Makura the Destructor. So the whole reason Chick the Yellow was placed on the second list was because of its interactions with Makura, which they had also banned in this exact same ban list, which means there was no way to even use the combo. It would have made sense for them to semi-limit this card if Makura was still a one card, but it wasn't. So technically, there was no reason to put this card on the ban list at all. It wasn't useful outside of that combo. Just why this card was indeed taken off the ban list of the previous format, and why it has never since been put back on the ban list. Since Makura the Destructor is one of the most broken cards in the game and will never come off the ban list. So while a lot of the other cards on this list kind of had reasons why they were put on the ban list, and most of them seemed to be an overreaction. Chick the Yellow is the only one that did not really need to be on the ban list at all.
Oh yeah, lanterns.
A kind of obscure card that was never very good anyway on its own, which is why I think it should take the number 1 spot on this list. Alright, and that's the end of the video. If you think I missed any better cards ever placed on the ban list for a weird reason, or
That's gonna be how I light up the roof with lanterns and chains.
And did you know 67.5% of the people who watch my videos are not subscribed to the channel? So if you like the videos and wish to see more just like this one, make sure to subscribe to be notified of videos.
The leaves have all changed color. It's fall. It'll be winter soon. gonna have to move house real soon. We're gonna have to pack all of these. Oh yeah, this is a thing. I guess this item's a little irrelevant considering due to the items that we're using. Due to the mods I'm using. How much space does this thing need? Why can't I place this down? The hell? Whatever. Bubble blower. Oh, I didn't need to craft the chains. I feel like an idiot now. I mean, I may as well use them, right? Talk about atmospheric.
Scenario, and so I should have 100. Breakers of Shadow was released in January 2016. This set introduced the Destruction Sword archetype, a series of cards that pay homage to the anime classic Buster Blade. Notable cards in this set include Performer Pal Pendulum Sorcerer, Cyber Dragon Infinity, Quaking Mirror, or Solemn Strike, and one of the most powerful pieces of generic spell and trap that still sees widespread play to this day, Twin Twisters. In this series, both myself will be opening 24 booster packs with one box of a core booster set. We will build a deck and play a best 2 out of 3, and the winner will receive a prize to upgrade the deck. However, in each episode, we will open another box of the next set that was released moving in chronological order, constantly upgrading our decks before dueling each other at the end of the episode. This is the Yo Progression Series.
Oh man, feels real good sitting back in this well-deserved suit. I think that Despot deck we built absolutely bonkers, and I think there's a lot to build on top of it today if we decide to double back on that strategy. But first, it's the first wheel in a long time, and as always, it's a big wheel, man. I'm hoping we get those astral packs. Something I was thinking about the other day is like we never wanted the tournament packs back in the day because they didn't have any. Now the astral packs feel like the bread and butter, and all the wild cards, but at bracket packs. I don't want to waste too much time because I feel Alex has a lot to talk about over it. So let's just spin the wheel. Let's get return packs. As expected, Astral Pack 8, yippee yippee. Alright. Got 3 packs of Astral Pack 8. I get myself an Trishula with this last episode, or an MST. Jealous Alex Goblin, I want one stuff. Alright, pop it up, simulator. Trishula. Confusion, that's not a Trishula. Pack number 2. Pack number 2, Trishula. MST, one of the big guns. Please. We don't want the talent, but it is what it is. Alright, number 3, Trishula in the close. Oh! You know what? Trishula would have been bonkers, but I'll take the MST any day of the week, man. Nice card. Great card. It needs Braun even crown now. That feels
We were so close to winning the War of the Pendulums, and we were so close to resolving that Tyrant Growth and just locking the game up immediately, but never thought I'd be saying this. Gage's Despots definitely did some work, and we may have to give them a little bit more respect, because I think as we enter the next set, it may actually get scarier for us. But I am happy to be bringing you guys Breakers of Shadows Breakdown, even though I am Inner Circle. This set, by constructed standards, is one of the most powerful sets ever printed, but I think it's actually a little bit more interesting from the progression series perspective. A lot of the cards that made Breakers of Shadow a devastating set were at very, very high rarity. I'm talking about secret rare across the board. Funky Board was a common, but we don't really have access to stuff like Skull Combat Joker because that came in a structure deck, and so I don't think that these cards are as powerful as they have been constructed Yu-Gi-Oh! Because we really didn't have the opportunity to abuse them. One of the most noteworthy aspects about the set, however, is the fact that moving forward, every single pack is going to have a guaranteed super rare card or above. And why that matters is because giving us access to high rarity cards more frequently means that we're going to be able to maybe assemble some strategies that might have typically been harder for us to go with, especially now that we are moving into these later sets. And that's going to matter.
Let's place this somewhere inside.
In particular, Buster Blade received a handful of support in this set, and it doesn't really matter all that much, but Dragon Buster Destruction Sword is a common. I think I actually pulled Buster Blader back in Pharaoh's Servant, funny enough, but I don't know if I'm going into the extra deck enough to really make this card that good. We don't have like a Union Carrier or anything to like equip this to something, so it's a very scary card, but I don't know if we're going to be able to use it. Master Pendulum debuts in this set. Again, a 1950 beater that can continuously come back to the board because of Pendulum Summoning is pretty good. Also, the Dino Mist. Now, Dino Mist Howling doesn't come out till a later set, but we get some of the introductory cards here. It's another Pendulum-based archetype. It is low rarity enough that this could be something that Gage and I consider. And there we have the boy himself, Magispector Toad Ogama. The OG SEMO fans will remember the Ogama Bonfire that never made its way onto YouTube. I cracked open a case of Bosch when it came out because I thought it was going to be a huge set, and I kept pulling copies of Toad. I was getting so infuriated, and so it was a funny video, but unfortunately the footage is lost forever. Jiraiya is also another archetype that has some potential, but we don't have access to a lot of the other zombie support, right? Like Mizuki didn't come in a core set. We do have chances at it in like Astral Packs and stuff, but without the rest of the zombie support, I'm not sure if this is very good. Guiding Ariadne was in constructed, just an insane card, but we don't really have a lot of counter traps in our format, and this does require us to be playing Pendulum as well. This is really good with Luster Pendulum, and I think Gage maybe has one of that, and I have none. So maybe not as good in ours, and this is what I'm worried about. Despot 007 and 008 come out in this, and I feel like Gage is going to try to play Despots again because they worked so well for him in the previous episode. He was a cheater, but that aside, I feel like he's going to be motivated to try to refine the strategy. I was thinking about maybe playing this myself, but the biggest problem is I actually have play sets of some of them, and I only have one machine duplication from Rise of Destiny, so it's not going to be nearly as good. But this, ladies and gentlemen, this is what Gage and I are going to be for the most. Twin Twister comes in this set at super rare, and like I said, there's a super rare in every single pack. I would say on average, we're probably going to get 2 to 3 copies of this per 24 packs. Obviously, the pack openers were randomized, so it's not guaranteed, but just from doing some sampling, it seems like the occurrence of it. There's only 10 super rares in the set as a whole, so 1 to 10, obviously, the other holos can supersede the super. However, I still think it's pretty likely that Gage and I are going to have some access to generic spell and trap like this for like the first time ever in a consistent fashion. That really sucks because I also just pulled that Mystical Space Typhoon in the Astral Pack, and I haven't even gotten to really use it yet, but now Twin Twister's coming in too. Quaking Mirror Force is actually a huge card. If Gage or myself can pull it, it's an ultra, but it's a very, very good card, just being able to set everything face down and it can't be changed back. We also have Forbidden Apocrypha coming in at common. I think this could be worth side decking. This is a way to actually out Gage's like synchro lineup, so I might actually put this in the side deck, we'll see. And Solemn Strength, if we pull this, we're gonna 100% play it. It's monster removal, it's summon negation, 1500 life points is nothing, it is 100%.
Let's just do this.
We also do get some more Cosmos support. Tin Can is an ultra, Sword Troopers is a super, and so maybe Cosmos are still on the table because 3 Wicked Witch, 3 Sword Trooper, we maybe get a Tin Can, that's like 7 pilots. We have a bunch of Forerunners, a bunch of Slip Riders. Maybe we can bring something together. We'll have to see. Also, Delta Shuttle and Dark Eclipse are in here as well, but I mean, they're pretty high rarity. This Eclipser is, and Cosmojo is also a secret, but I don't really think I want this. Couple more Kaijus. Interrupted Kaiju Slumber's neat because it's actually like technically Dark Hole, and while Gage and I do have access to Dark Hole, we only have it at 1. Kaiju Slumber's at 3, and so having just access to more board wipes is actually an interesting equalizer. And there's the man himself, Performer Pal Pendulum Sorcerer. Again, in constructed, this card is insane and is responsible for one of the most broken decks ever created, but you would have to get multiple of this, and the rest of the Perform Pal core to make this good. I just don't see that happening. And then scrolling down, we just get a bunch of heavy hitters one after another. Fiendish Rhino Warrior, Neptibus the Atlantean Prince, Chimera Tech Rampage, Cyber Dragon Infinity. I would love if we could pull this, but we don't even have Nova, although we do get a shot at Nova in the next OTS pack, OTS Pack 1, and it's a comic. So we do pull this, and we managed to win the episode and get the OTS pack, so it could be a chance we can play this. That still requires us to play a way to get to Nova as well, and so as cool as Infinity is, I don't really think it's that good. Well, let me correct myself. The card's actually nuts, but the ability for us to be able to make it is very slim. And then down here at the bottom, Traptrix Rafflesia may be one of the more useful secret rares because it's a generic rank 4, and we do have trap hole cards that we have access to, and so while it may not be the most explosive card, it has the ability to be the most useful. It does force us into rank 4s, but the rank 4 pulls are pretty good. But I'm excited. I do have to open my pity pack though, so we have one pack of Astral Pack 8. Let's go ahead and flip them up, and nothing to talk about, but I'm excited, guys. Let's go ahead and crack open 24 packs of Breakers of Shadow.
Alright, first pack Breakers of Shadows being an absolutely incredible setback for this group. Cyber Dragon, Jay started the set. Not seen it, but we gotta get used to it. Super rare every single pack. Oh my god! Perform I think the Sorcerer! This was the second Jay started the set. Headstone Sorcerer! That was like any sort of headstone strat. That's so good. We gotta get some more good on the way for that. That's against. Wow. Wow, you wanna talk about Cosmos ships, bro? Dark Eclipser. Just finish a card, add a level. Cosmos, and they have a ship. And the card. Pretty awesome. It is a good card.
Alright, you guys. 24 packs of Breakers of Shadow. I gotta be honest, as long as we get a playset of Twin Twister, I'll be pretty happy. Anything else might just be a bonus, but we'll see. Let's flip them up first pack. I guess I was getting way too excited. That is not that. I would be excited for Monkey Board if we actually were able to play the deck, but unfortunately that's just not going to happen. Did get a good turn. Alright, there's a Master Pendulum, the Draco Slayer. I don't know what's up with the artwork. This is like the Aegis artwork for Luster Pendulum. That's odd. There is a Forbidden Apocrypha. I want to get a playset of this too, because, you know, common seems have some weird pull rates, but overall it's an okay pack. Oh, well, there is a secret rare, and it's not the secret rare I wanted at all. It is Cosmojo. I guess if we go down the Cosmo route, like, I'll play this, but I'm not super excited about it. No Forbidden Apocrypha, though. I am excited for this. There's also a Dragon Buster Destruction Sword, so if we do end up playing it eventually, we do have a play. Sword Troopers, okay, alright. I mean, again, that's coming together. I haven't had access to any other pilot at this point, aside from Wicked Witch, so yeah, it's a bit idealistic, but at least we're getting these. Still no Twin Twister, though. That's the main thing I'm worried about.
Oh, and Ultra Rare. We Shogun Saga. I'm pretty sure this is a star card in the TCG. Not some other Ultra Rare. Not all. He just run those. Buster Blade of the Destruction Sword Master. Just absolutely great job. Oh my god, Neptibus! Atlantean Prince! Another killer Ultra this set, bringing water back. Next is one of the meta competitors. Single-handedly, this card is certain you guys read it. Toad. So this is one of these super rares that I really want to get from the set. This is my first one. That's Magic Spectre Toad. This might be something that makes Alex want to come back. Magic Spectre Strategies. The first of mine. I saw a whole bunch of new Pendulum cards. Maybe we can throw something down with it. That's my first new combo. And from Slumber, kind of nice. Kaiju Slumber's a very good super rare. I'll take it. I'll take it. I don't have a lot of Kaiju actually to work with. I think I have like one Gamma Super. I actually think maybe a Radiant? I don't have a lot of Kaiju. Oh my god! Bro, these all they're so good! Is it Cure? Like I needed a big one? And then Neptibus, the second Neptibus! Is there a water strategy? Is there something there?
There's an Ultra Rare. It is Enlightenment Paladin. This may be worth just running in the extra deck. It is a generic level 8. And the effect of this card is, like, fine, I guess. When it destroys an opponent's monster by value, you can flip damage equal to the original attack. So it does have a sort of, like, Ring of Destruction-esque effect. And that could matter depending on if gauge life points are low enough. If we're playing a synchro package, we'll probably use those. There's another Ultra Rare, Blackluster Soldier, Sacred Soldier. Again, a card I don't think we're going to touch, but it's cool that we have it. I don't think it's that good, though, because it's not like the original BLS and play this. Oh boy, are we not going to get the Twin Twister? Jesus Christ, that's bad. Oh, finally. Holy shit, I was starting to get nervous. There's our first Twin Twister. 15, well, I think we're like 14 packs in at this point, but I was starting to get nervous because, I mean, it's never guaranteed in the progression series, but thankfully we have one of this. We do have an MST as well, but Twin Twister's honestly better because you pop two things. Getting the graveyard set up on the discard is also just so nice. I think this might be the third Forbidden Apocrypha. If not, we have the playset. So, feeling pretty good. I'd like to at least see one more Twin Twister. Okay, there's a third Sword Trooper, so, I mean, at least we have a reasonable number of pilots now. I mean, it's not a ton,
let's make it
but
10.
at least it makes Cosmos slightly more viable. I just don't know how viable it actually is.
Okay, another Ultra Ring. They may just become Spectral Sword. Sure, it's not a sure giving card I don't care about, but Darth. That's a nice pack. This opening is insane. This opening is absurd. What is this? That's my second Darth Destroyer. Oh my god, I don't have like Darth Destroyer. I don't know how many runs I have right. Dude! Look at what you see. Oh, I have a Strawberry. Oh shit. Alright, coming up on the last three packs here for an absolute incredible one. 3 secret bears. All of them very good. I cannot. What the fuck? Oh my god! Second Pendulum Sorcerer! Oh my god, this deck just can't get any better. I think we have to play Pendulum. There's no way we don't, right? Holy shit, I got 2 packs left. Can I get anything else in the close? Reward me even further. I think that's like my third Sword Trooper. If I want to like test something with that. Okay, whatever. Another Shogun Sundal. Wow! Wow! What a fucking opening day, dude. Neptunus. 2, Performable Pendulums person. 1 Toad, but hey, we get that is something. Let's see what we got working in the today. What we can do.
Okay, there we go. Okay, second Twin Twister. Have about 6 packs left, I think. If we could get a third to complete the playset, that would be very ideal. Phoenix Rhino Warrior's cool, but I don't think we're playing VA, unfortunately. Very, very happy to see it. If we don't get any more, I'll be happy, but I'd really like to get just one more. Wow, okay. Alright, there's a Quaking Mirror Force. That's actually pretty decent. This is a card that we don't really have many ways to out aside from, actual removal. But if Gage gets into this is actually a way to out cards like Leo and Stardust Dragon because you can actually flip them back up. I think I might actually play this. Gage is never going to play around it. Alright, you guys, only a few packs left. We got 2 Twin Twisters, so I'm feeling pretty okay. I'd like to see a third one in these last few packs here. Let's go ahead and flip them up. That's not looking too great. Alright, let's go on to the next one. This is one of the things with Breakers of Shadow. Of course, I'm being trolled by the Toad. And let's go to the last one. Breakers of Shadow sometimes, it can be a bit of a whiff, but last pack, oh, it's another Blackluster Soldier. Unfortunate. I wish that was like a Cosmo Tin Can or something. That would have been nice. But in any case, we got 2 Twin Twister. We got a playset of Apocrypha. We got a playset of some reasonable good cards as well. A lot of thinking I'm going to have to do for this episode, so I'm going to go ahead and load a blue and get to work.
As cool as that opening in Breakers of Shadows was, I don't think there's a lot of that this week, right? There's a lot to consider for the week. Don't have any sorcerers? Kind of fucking nice. But looking at it, I didn't get the card turtle. Any of the Guiding Ariadne, which is also a super in this set. Those 2 cards are absolutely fucking ridiculous together to be able to get the maximum value and those. However, just think about another card, most monkey board, there's a lot to consider. Also, after we get into the circles, yes, pack 1 next week. Oh, come on. But this week, we'll stick with the Despots because I feel like there was a lot that I could actually check on to make it better. Every single card for this list, but it feels necessary. I decided to actually Striker. Something that wasn't there before. I'm gonna opt to go second. Strike any of my monsters here. I felt like I didn't have enough low fall, even though I was lucky enough to see it. But if I'm able to see it consistently, I feel like I have more additional plays on my spirit Despots for. That being said, I took out a couple of XYZs I didn't summoning, and I plugged in some more single monsters that could be a lot useful. I noticed I could go into Arclight a lot. Scrap Dragon's also a good choice. 6 and 05, and then Goyo Guardian come up as well as Star come up now too. Aside to my favorite guy, these helps wants to double back on his Match Spectre strategy, which again is something you can carry well. But I also have all of these different dolls just in case, because I still think with Fluff of Waste it's something that you can definitely consider. Altogether, plugging in the MST this too, I feel like this is amazing. It's also the thing last episode, but I really feel like we're just barely scratching the surface of what cards like Nancy, Dogs, Machina, Fortress, and Confession. There's just so much this deck has to offer, and I want to explore more of it today. So,
Now, Alex Hamilton. I gotta admit to you guys, this one's a bit interesting. Now, I don't 100% know the direction he's going this episode, but if I were a betting man, I would guess that he wants to run back best bots again because we now have 007 and 008, and it seemed like the strategy did very well for him in the previous episode, so I think he's going to want to try to enhance that if he can, maybe hone it a little bit better to make it a more just better deck than it already was. And so this is the deck we're bringing to today's duel. I'm not 100% confident with it, but I wanted to bring something a bit well-rounded. It is the most explosive, like the 8-9 deck that we played last time, but this is a sort of hedge against if he is playing something else, but I also do have a lot of cards in here to counteract best bot strategy. So, we're going the route of playing a sort of rank 4 toolbox sort of deck. The theory is if I just play a well-rounded, consistent strategy that's able to pump out rank 4s every single turn, back that up with some pretty powerful traps, I feel like it's going to be difficult for him to beat that, and so we'll have to see, but let's go ahead and do the card by card. 2 Goblin Bird, when it's normal, I can special summon another level 4. What's cool about this is that it does trigger Mermelio's second effect to be able to pop a spell and trap because it's a mandatory effect. So, that's pretty cool. It's another just MST sort of effect, and I think it's nice that I can get a little bit of extra value off of going for a rank 4. We're on max C just because special summoning is very prevalent, and getting more cards in a control-oriented strategy is always good. We have the Clown package, the 2 Damage Juggler, 2 Hat Tricker, and 2 Trick Clown. Damage Juggler can dodge damage and also can search the others. Hat Tricker is just another free a free level 4 we can summon, and Trick Clown is just going to constantly recur itself over and over again. This is what's going to help us churn through a lot of these rank 4 monsters.
Shit.
Thrasher, this and Goblinberg fill a very similar role, but Thrasher has 2100 attack, so it can hit over some somewhat sizable threats at times. It's also a light warrior, which does matter for cards like Omega, as well as Blade Armor Ninja, which can come up, and so having the diversity here just is nice. We can also go Thrasher into Goblinberg into another monster, and that's 3 monsters on the field, so that's pretty cool. I am on the one Plague Spreader. This is to give us a
Well, I mean, the plan was always to make this a cobblestone floor
so we're pretty much
and wall.
and I guess level 10 by extension. So Goyo Guardians in play. Leo is pretty sick. We've seen Gage summon this, and this is actually a very difficult card to deal with. So if I find myself in a situation where I have a bunch of cards that aren't really doing a whole lot, I can just sync up into Leo, and this might be a nightmare for him to actually deal with. I'm also playing the Yazi. I do have Instant Fusion and Cyber Dragon inside. So if I do have a way to get to level 5, then I can use Plague Spreader to go to this, and this is 2600 and can't be targeted, so that's pretty threatening. 2 Shadow's Dragon, on top of this being a 1900 attacker, it also can just bounce monsters back to the hand or extra deck in the case of extra deck monsters. Gage's been going with stuff like Stardust Dragon lately, so Dragon is a way to answer cards from the extra deck, similar to Compulse, except it's on a body as well. It's also spell trap removal if we send it to the grave via something like Barrier. And then we're bringing back the Trap Tricks. 2 Trap Tricks, Dianea, and 2 Mermelio. I guess thinking back a few episodes ago, I could have played this with the Shadals, and it might have been a little bit better, but it is what it is. Mermelio can search a whole trap card on normal summon, and we're playing 2 Bottomless and a Trap Tricks Trap Hole Nightmare that we scooped up from that set. And Dianea on normal can special summon a Trap Tricks monster.
I really like the texture of cobblestone, much more the stone. It's got a nicer texture than just the flat gray with a little bit of noise normal stone has. Which is why whenever I'm using stone-related blocks for housing, I always use cobblestone instead of normal smooth stone. I mean, obviously there's like bricks as well, but that should be used for more like castle-y related stuff, in my opinion.
This card's actually in 3 currently, and I wanted to play at least 2 of this because going into either 2 level 4s, maybe a 4 and a 5 depending on the circumstances, it's just another free monster, right? So it helps us get to our win condition of just establishing rank 4s as much as possible. I am actually opting to main deck Mystical Space Typhoon and Twin Twister in this deck. So again, I'm just trying to play a very well-rounded deck here, a deck that can really just kind of tackle anything that gets thrown in front of it. And so having just generic spell and trap removal like Mystical Space Typhoon, like Twin Twister, I saw Gage's on Limit Reverse. I saw that he's just on other cards like Oppression, and if he is playing Despots, again, they do have Pendulum Scales as well. So having cards like this just to deal with any of those threats to ensure that our rank 4s can stick is going to just clear our path to victory. Pot of Free Regeki and Snatch Shield, of course, rounding out the spells for the traps. 1 Bottomless, 1 Compulse, the double Fiendish Chain. I'm a bit iffy about this because now that Twin Twister's in the format, I think this card gets a little bit worse, but this can stop things like Despot 004 and just other cards that are just generally annoying to deal with by making it so that they can't attack and they can perfect effects in the process. Io's back in the main. This basically just says negate any spell I want. Quaking Mirror Force is a card I'm very excited to see. Gage will never play around this at first, and so when he sees it, his reaction is going to be priceless. This is a very, very good card, and I can't wait to see how it performs. Oppression's back in the main. I'm playing a very normal summon-centric deck. I do obviously want to go into rank 4s, but if I have Oppression up, I don't mind just normal summoning a monster every turn, because the stats are pretty sizable, and that's how I'm going to win anyway. Torrential, Traptor, Chapel Nightmare, and Bandit's Emptiness rounding out the traps. For the extra, Carbonola and Mabelus for our level 4 targets. Panzer as our level 5. This also duels as removal. Synchros, Goyo, Leo, and Yazi. And then for the Xyz, Blade Armor for damage. Karen Morgan just because it's big and it reflects targeting effects. Omega because it's just a colossal pain he has to deal with. Gaga got Cowboy for wrapping up games. Ragnus here is especially good against Despot, so I'm going to aim to try to get this out back in with some traps, and that might just be enough to wrap up the game. Masquerade is a pipe dream that I think I'm going to achieve one day, but this card is actually good. Stick it, Trapeze Magician to end games, Pebble Operative does come up, and then Sharp Fortress if we have some sort of 2 level 5, scenario, which is probably never going to happen, but honestly I ran out of good rank 4, so I figured I'd throw this in. And then the side deck's rather interesting. I do have a side drifter if I know I'm going second, just to give me some more presence on the board. It's also a level 5, so it does help with the level 7 synchro play, as well as going into a rank 5 such as Sharp Fortress, 3 DD Crow in case Gage is on any sort of graveyard relying strategy. This is just a very generically good card, so I like to have it in the side deck. Lightning Vortex has actually found its way back into the deck. Despots have a weakness to just mass board removal. They don't really have a good way to recover, and so I figure if Gage is still on the strategy, when I know I'm going second, I can bring in Lightning Vortex effectively as another Dark Hole or Raigeki. If he sets up his board, I can just Lightning Vortex and nuke it. It also kills stuff like Leo, which can give me some problems as of late, so I like having this in here. 3 Fairy Wind in case Gage is playing any sort of pendulum-based deck. I wanted to have just 4 Twin Twisters, essentially. Wavering Eyes would have been good if I was playing Pendulum. I think Fairy Wind's a little bit better for my deck. 3 copies of Forbidden Apocrypha. So Gage has this tendency to go into multiple synchros, and so the plan here is that if he goes into like Stardust Leo, I can flip Apocrypha and it sends them to the graveyard, so Stardust actually can't protect them. So this is a bit situational. It's going to depend on if Gage actually overcommits, but this is another card he definitely will not play around, and is another board wipe if he decides to go all in with the death spots. 3 copies of Overworked. This is 100% going to go in the deck if Gage is still on the death spots. Destroy each monster whose attack is higher than its original attack. This card is so good because all the despots typically buff the other despots, or at least some of the better ones do anyway. So the theory here is if he has I think it's a number 2 that gives them all 500 attack, Overworked is literally just Dark Hole on his turn. And so this is going to go in for sure. I really like just having, 5 more wipes, so why not? Strangely enough, I did not get a single copy of Interrupted Kaiju Slumber, which is a little bit concerning, but it is what it is. Now that I think about it, actually, if we're wanting to go the route of playing these sort of board wipes that are just going to blow out the despots, because like I said, I have a pretty good hunch that he's going to want to run that back again. And let's go ahead and throw in a few copies of System Down. I did pull like 5 of these, so I do have them. And the despots are machines. Pay 1,000, banish all machines, your opponent controls it in the graveyard. Seems pretty good to me, right? And this is a spell, so I don't have to set it like Overworked. I'm able to use it proactively on my turn, then set up my board. I think this is going to be nasty. I have played, 9 board wipes going into games 2 and 3, so if he is on despots, he's probably going to regret it. And then lastly, of course, we have the Trap Dust Shoot to pick apart his hand when we are going first. I'm super excited for this one. If Gage played despots, he may regret it. So ladies and gentlemen, it's time to duel.
Alex, out the shadow of a doubt, I am ready to break your spirits today.
Oh my god.
That's a good breakers for shadows of play this set.
It was interesting. I think you've been very high on this set leading up to this the last few episodes, but I think for progression, this set isn't as good as most people may remember for constructing, right? Because Solemn Strike, Infinity, all of the best haymaker cards in the set are all secret rare, which is fine, but for progression that means we have to actually pull them. So there's good cards. I'm not saying there isn't, but I don't think it's as good as some of the other sets we've had. It's like a mid-tier set. There are some very impactful cards though.
It was exciting, actually. Super rare. That was kind of
right.
Now you're just every time you're wow, I feel like I have to talk about it, but realistically, it's a rare.
I found myself in the same situation. I'm like, oh, I want to talk about this, but then I realized, oh, that card sucks. I'm not going to. But yeah,
There's a lot of good.
a lot of good. You would have conditioned ourselves to only talk about the hollows at this point, unless there's like a very notable common or rare to discuss. And so like every time it's like, oh, there's a super rare. And so it's weird having to like retrain ourselves not to. But it's good moving forward now for the next, I don't know, like what do we still have, like 20, 30 episodes before we get to the end, that we're going to be getting a lot more hollows. And that's good because then ultimately, hopefully we'll be able to build some more cohesive strategies as a result. We'll see. All right, if you are, buddy, I'm interested to see what you brought today.
I'm curious to see what you brought to it. Even though usually we're not that crazy, I feel like there's a lot of like passed on. So I'm curious what you're.
And we'll see as we play up the rock, paper, scissors. Shout out to Dean Zimmerman. Thank you for the support, but not thank you to Gage for kicking my ass in rock, paper, scissors. Group 4. What are you going to pick, bud?
I'm fix it up. I'm gonna actually go second.
Okay.
Be honest, good choice. I don't know what you're playing, but
I got it. Gage, did you miss the Master Rule 3?
oh my god, look at it. This
It's so squished. So for anyone who may be watching the Progression series who's never familiar with how pendulums actually worked in Yu-Gi-Oh!, the pendulum zones were actually off to the side here instead of being used in the first and fifth spell and trap zone. There actually was a setting for it. A lot of you guys pointed that out in the last episode. I actually didn't know this because I don't think I'd ever even bothered looking. But yeah, if either of us is playing pendulum-based decks, which we both did last time, now we're going to be able to play in true MR fashion. It just looks so squished.
It looks chaotic. Looking at this board, like if you were playing any other game, like what the hell am I looking at? It's a 2 extra zone. It's that much.
It's weird. Oh, good luck, buddy. You said you're going second. That makes me kind of nervous. I'm not going to lie. How are we going to... I'm going to go ahead and start by special summoning a Photon Crasher. Yeah. Okay.
That's enough.
Overlay for our good old friend Ragnar. Yep. Okay. I have a hunch you're still on the desk box. I'll just pass on that. Go ahead, buddy.
Alright. I hope you're right. I'll drop
We'll
it.
see. We'll see.
And by me. Well, your Ragnar here is kind of, but I think I got a. I'm gonna normal summon.
Okay. So you are still on the desk spots.
I sure am. Yeah. Before it's very there. I'm going to go battle phase. Sure. I'm gonna declare an attack with a.
Yeah, this is one of the ways that this does get cleared, unfortunately. So, you can go ahead and send, and I will take whatever image here. Unfortunately, can't activate Ragnar Zero in image step.
Sure can.
Okay, so you're sending the 5, so that puts your 042 3,000 attack, correct? Yeah. Okay, so Ragnar Zero will fall, I will use the Trick Cloud effect.
And I will change.
The one? Yeah.
The one that. I'm gonna suck it to the side. I'm gonna.
Okay.
Alright, I'll double it. I'll pick up a.
Sure.
This Trick Cloud 00. Oh, that's why 006.
Okay.
006. I will go.
What do you want to sign with those two?
Okay. I'll go base phase 2. I'm gonna activate 1 for 1.
Jesus
double
Christ.
1. Oh, you thought it. Yeah, double 1
Yeah.
for the grade.
Sure. That's fine.
Okay, I'm going to throw protect.
Now Leo.
No, not Leo. I'm gonna bring. Oh, that's not yet.
Oh, shit. I forgot they have a synchro.
They should.
Okay.
And I'm gonna on my
Oh, my.
and yeah.
1 for 1. Oh, my god. Like, this hand is crazy.
I'll pull out my 202, and I'll trigger 0202. 01.
Yeah, so 0-1 special summons itself, and 0-2 gets 4 cards. It's about what's for effects. This is nuts.
It's pretty above. Look at my scales.
Yeah.
Scales that work.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna activate Jet on one of my own. Summon the deck.
Okay.
Oh, God. I'm going to pull up Deck 8005.
Okay.
I am going to synchro for 8. Extra up 2. Gotta get used to that.
I know we're really not used to playing with pendulum.
Yeah. This
Sure. Put it all back then.
no, I'm gonna activate.
Oh my god. And
Take some.
I don't even know like what I would want guess is more important. I don't know what else you're trying to set up. Like, I know you have gold, so that's not really like a surprise. I mean, I know you can sink it to it. That's nothing. Gone through all the 2, so I'm not going to call 2. Got 4, 1. I know you have a lot of good 2 best spot 5s are in the extra deck already. So I feel like 5's very unlikely. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of want to call 3 just because it's like the most likely to show up. 6 also could come up, but like then that's a synchro 9. I mean, I don't know. So, I'll go 3. Why not? Sounds like I guess. That's not. Sure. At this point, anytime I think I should call 3, I should just call 4. I'm 100% in that space being the opposite of what it should be.
Probably the right choice.
Oh, why can't 02 be a 2?
This is my play. You know what? If I sit on this, Jets just kick it over. Right. What else do I do? You know what? It's not fun.
So your jet is 2,000?
Yeah, my jet is named 500. That's not funny. Also named 500.
It was at 25.
Correct.
Okay. Alright, I'm just making sure that I can. Alright, how the hell are we getting out of this one? And I have 6 in your game.
No, I have 5 seats.
Because you added a lot. Oh, 5s, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Alright, so after a long deliberation, because this is hard.
It's a good sport. It's all. It doesn't just get out it.
No, and it's not good.
I love to hear it. Just show you.
It's not looking good. It's fine. It's not fantastic. Okay, I am going to normal summon a trick.
That's good.
I'm going to special summon a hat trick.
Yeah, that's
I'm going to go ahead and overlay these 2 for an attack position. Gaga cowboy.
Yep, that's good. Okay.
I'm going to use the effect Detach Trick Cloud. Sure. I'm going to pay 1,000 to bring back the cloud. Sure. And then I'm going to overlay my 2 clouds for my Performage Trapeze Magician. Sure. I'm going to detach target cowboy with the trapeze. So it can now attack twice, but it's destroyed at the end of the battle phase.
Okay, that's fine.
So I'm going to go to battle. I'm going to swing into your Stardust. So my Cowboy's at 25, and your Stardust goes down to 2k.
Sure, I'll take 5.
And then second attack, I'm going to hit over the Jet, so it also goes down to 2k.
Okay, during the damage set, your thing's up to 25, and mine's down to 2. So I'll take another.
Correct. Correct. Right. Then is it the end of the battle phase? I don't think it's just going to die. End of the battle phase.
Yes.
Yeah. So Cowboy's going to die. Okay. Unfortunately, we got rid of like the 2 like large things that we'd have to worry about, but I'm not sure the 2 great.
Yeah, I mean, your thing. Oh, I don't know how good that is. So we'll see.
Well, I can't kill 04 in battle no matter what because of his effect. So like that's if I had a way to clear that too, I'd be feeling a little bit better, which is I think why I probably should have just called 4 off saying that I wouldn't have to roll. But obviously I can't predict the future.
Nope, sure can't. Alright, let's see.
But you know, we got to see the Performage Gaga Cowboy act, so that was pretty neat.
As much as you.
I'm sure it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad.
It wasn't. This combo's about skill up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit you with young.
Alright.
5 extra? No, 5. Yeah.
Okay.
Trigger my own.
Yeah.
Okay. That's so good. Alright, I'm gonna synchro for 8. Back face up here. Here, once again.
Okay.
And I'm going to make Scrap Dragon.
It's pretty good.
It's even cooler because I get to go Scrap Dragon effect. I'm going to pop my 005.
Okay.
I'm going to pop your trap.
Okay. And then 5 has an effect that's destroyed. Correct.
Yeah, 5 is a special summon.
And I get to trigger my Trapeze Magician as well as my Trick Cloud. So I'm going to grab a Damage Juggler, and I'll bring back the Trick.
I'll pull back my 001.
Okay.
Alright, I'm going to synchro for 10.
Boy?
Yep, the boy this time. Yep.
There he is.
I'm going to summon double in.
Okay.
I'll pick up my 006 with that. Then I'll trigger 006. I'll put you.
Alright, we're going to be using the actual effect of this card this time. Whoops, did not mean that.
What is that?
Yeah, so 2 attack. Yeah, this is bad because he's 0 attack. So I'm going to eat a lot of damage to the face here.
Sure.
Probably dead, to be honest.
Alright, well, let's see what happens. I'll go battle phase. Those two. Pretty sure. Yeah, so we'll go EO into your thing there. Take 31.
Yep.
Okay. I'll go.
Yeah, I'm dead.
You're just. Yeah, I don't know why you're doing this. I don't know why you're making the thing.
The 30 and
Yeah, I don't know why you're doing this. Well, I had. Means you didn't even get on the log. I knew I actually. You see the cards I have?
Gage, I knew you were going to be on those desk spots again. I just knew they were too good to you in the last episode for you not to give it another spin. There's new desks on support in this set as well, so, you know, I don't know if you're playing it or not. I've seen, I think, every number except the new ones, funny enough. But the deck just seemed too good for you.
I know, I'm on a combo play. It feels good. That's the thing. I don't think my ear deck playing Cloud Blade or something like that.
It's something like that. It's something like that.
Alright, well, I'm excited to see. Thanks for letting me.
Yeah, I am going to let you go second again. Your hand was crazy. I didn't have a plan, but I'm going to
In the end, my storage is still gonna be underground.
Fire off a normal summon of Trap Tricks from Melia. And we're at that. Go ahead and grab ourselves a bottomless trap. Sure. Then, let's take it a little bit easy. So,
Yeah, but right, well, what was that? But, my turn. Trust you.
you know, it'd be like that. Yeah, sure.
It would be like that. He is going to battle. I'm gonna attack her.
Sure. So you get to send, I don't take any damage, thankfully, and do your
Song dancing.
Sure.
Change. Go 5 more. Change.
Yep, that's pretty good. So no models.
Baseball models. No.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was really just hoping to hit just something else potentially. That was the idea. That didn't happen.
Not that. I feel like maybe. No.
Okay.
I'll go to maybe. And thought I was
This man opens Machine Dupe every goddamn game. It's fucking unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yeah, sure, go ahead.
And I'll trigger both.
Sure, get your +4, I guess.
Pick up.
It's literally a +4. You get 2 more dudes, and then those get 2 more dudes.
Wait, did I pick up? 5. Whatever I want. Alright.
This deck's just so good.
Yeah, right? No, chill.
That's the one thing I'm really. You get to go for governments of your own too.
To be fair, you know, they're all really fucking big. They're all huge.
They're huge, yeah. I agree, they're big. So, like, at the same time, like, even just leaving it on this field, it might be hard for me to crit. That's what I'm saying. That's how big. So, they're all getting 500 attack and defense to each other, so they're all, like, 2,000 minimum.
No, they're all 1,500. All the O2s. They don't gain for this.
Okay.
Yeah, my O currently sitting at nice 7,000. And my O5 is also 2.
Right, okay. They're big.
You know what? I actually think I'm just gonna set a card. Go ahead, your turn.
So what did you added 3?
I don't think it's very realistic.
First summon, and the other 2 I added to double.
Okay, so you probably have a 6 in hand that you added to. Okay. That's I will measure. Take this. Alright, now what the hell? I can't. No, start.
Yeah, still not. Yeah, that's alright.
Right to the Emperor. Clean that up. I mean, it's something. I needed to have that, otherwise this is going to be a very fast game. Okay, you got a back row. I am going to normal summon a goblin. And sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's summon Special summon hat trigger. Sure. Let's go ahead and open. I guess we'll make Ragna 0 now. I'll use a bottle. Okay, fantastic. Well, we tried. It was fun. Good game. Yeah. It's 2, it's anyone's game. Yeah. Summon double of effect. I'm gonna max C. Oh. Oh. So this is interesting. I mean, you could maybe kill me, but dude, I can 100% by yourself. Alright. Draw for the machine dude while you get your summons. It's only 1 per instance of summoning, so we can summon 2 monsters off machine. Pretty sure this is just with these. They all
going down with fucking lantern right in my face as I go down.
I'll trigger double of attack.
So you take 25. Yeah.
Let's burn our
Sure. And then for 1 is at 2,000, correct? So I'll take the third one. And then I'm gonna damage show. Yeah, sure, that's fine. That's fine. Right with me. Living on a prayer. You sure are, but I don't I'll synchro for 10. Okay. Convenient that they're all 3s and a 1. Yeah, man. Sure, sorry. Alright, that was an experience. I'll go ahead and banish the damage show. Yeah, sure. Let's go ahead and grab...
How many is this? It's 10 by 5 if I remember.
That would be...
Yeah, 10 by 5, so 50 signs.
Not looking too good. Also not looking good when I can't summon these trip clouds. Yep. But it is what it is. Maxie drew me a fresh new hand. I'll go and set, then I'm gonna set 1, 2, 3, and pass on that. Right.
Alright, I go.
I do not have it.
Alright, pencil summon.
5 and 6 or 5 and 6.
Yeah, 5 and 6. 5. I'm going to trigger 5, shape. Trigger 6 shape. Right yourself. And I'm going to trigger my
The special summon, correct? Correct. I guess I can do this now, which kind of sucks, but I will torrential chain link. Chain link. Yeah, we are on chain. It'd be nice if the one was here. Okay, so anything else? Alright, so chain resolves, so everything's gonna die. And then you get to summon your what? This chain link. And then chain link to unfortunately I can't use this compulse, so that right out. Sure. 8. Attack declaration, activate.
Oh my god, I got overworked. That's so silly.
You got overworked.
See, that's fine. I'm not scared. But okay, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I cleared the board. Yeah, we're putting on a prayer now. We can actually start. You got fucking kidding. Dude, come on! I'll set and pass. Go ahead.
Alright, I'll draw them.
I got a twin twist.
I got one.
Scales. Yeah, there's no way.
Even if I do twin twister, I still get 5 just so back.
Oh, yeah, because it can just bring itself back on the. Well, so then, in that case, so then I'll pop the 6 in the back.
Oh, okay, alright. Whatever, dude. That's fine. Then we'll trigger 06 and I'll add 01 to hands. What do you know? The space out was
Oh my god. So many, like, cards to be able to just, like, blow you out, and unfortunately, I didn't get them any in the opening hand. My opening hand was, I know, like, I wanted, like, the outside and 3 over, and, like, different things like that, but I didn't see it even in the opening hand, and my opening hand was 4 monsters in Dark Polar.
Alright.
So, right, exactly, and then off the max C, then all this stuff
Plenty of barrels. How do we organize?
And I was like, oh, this is where I needed these cards to be, because if I overworked you, you had the triple O2 and everything else, then like you're just gonna get clued up with that.
The important thing is to be specific with what each barrel is meant to hold. Quantity over generalization, I guess.
How many?
Like two.
I can see right now. Shut up! I got no clue.
Well, to be fair, I didn't get a single interrupted kaiju slot. Okay. So it's weird though because like you and I were talking about this. I think we tried opening the set like a while ago. We were opening it and we were getting twin twisters pretty frequently. Yeah. So we were expecting both
I'll
of us
start
to
from
have
the
at
ones
least
that I
two,
think
and
I'll
I
be
didn't get hurt
accessing
once
the
on
most
Act
often,
16 or something,
and
but
the
I
ones I'll be
think
accessing the least
you
frequently,
really pulled zero
all the way to
twin
the
twisters.
Actually,
upper
also
left.
get another rare that I and, oh, I didn't get actually two. I didn't get Reform How Guitar, and I didn't get any Guiding Ariana.
Okay. I think I got one of each.
Okay, you did better. So, I mean, I just didn't see any of them.
Wow. That's insane. I'm shocked, to be honest. That's crazy. I didn't want to actually play Pendulum this round because I was messing with some different Pendulum decks because I was scared that now that this card's in that was just going to be a much easier way to blow it out aside from like the traditional ways. But, I mean, yeah, it didn't matter because you pulled zero. That's insane. I can't believe you didn't get a single copy.
Do you want to hear what I did get? I got a lot of stuff.
Okay.
First things first is I crack open the national packs to win. And it was only fair you got yours. So I had to get mine.
Okay. At least you got this. So I have this.
Yeah, it's good. As I get myself. In my box, I pulled, keep up, this is long. I pulled two Propel Pendulums. I pulled two Cosmo Dark. I pulled two Neptunes, Indian Prince, and like three interrupted Kaiju Slumber, and like a couple Shiranui cards or something. It was probably like one of the best boxes ever.
4 secret rares. Yeah. Imagine if you would have gotten like Infinity or something.
Right? Oh my god.
Roja.
Oh my god. Maybe I did get unlucky. What? Got two Dark. I was like, hey, that's a big boy right there.
I would appreciate getting those Dark Eclipsers.
Yeah,
but,
sure you
yeah. I mean, I have the better Cosmo.
I have like Schwarm.
I have a lot of the ships though. Well, now you might have more ships than I do.
I got more better ships. I mean, Clemser is kind of good.
I mean, he's good. He's big too. He's very big. And he's like he traps them. Yeah.
3 should be enough.
My plan for this episode was I wasn't 100% convinced you were going to go on Despot, and so I wanted to play something that was like kind of well rounded. It was a little bit slower than your deck, obviously, but the idea was just to play a sort of like rank 4 spammy deck that just gets a lot of value off of cards. So we're just playing like Trap Tricks, Clown Blade, basically, without the blade, because like obviously the Herbal Challenger stuff isn't in the set, but like Goblin Birds, I was playing just Shadal Dragon just because it can out like Stardust Dragon and shit, and it's a level 4. So like it would like it's like a good just level 4 to play. Just like a lot of just like really good stuff sort of cards where like all my draws are like typically just going to be like and my plan was to just set up like a rank 4 like Ragnar Zero and hopefully have some back row to support it, and then that was just gonna be like really tough for you. But I drew some of the back row of like the 14 or 15 traps I had like in game 2 here, so I could have at least like done something, but I guess they were all glued to the middle of my deck, which is so I decided to like triple over against you. I brought even Lightning Vortex back from like all the way in Flaming Eternity because that's pretty good against Despot. I was even signing its system down.
Man, you went for the kitchen sink attitude.
Well, Despots just suffer from just massive movement sort of effects, and so I figured having as many as possible. Shining Victory. Released in May 2016, this set introduced the Lunalites, an archetype of beast focused around summons and rank 4 spamming capabilities. Notable cards in this set include Memorbage Goliath, Blue-White Spirit Dragon, Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, Drowning Mirror Force, and the next in line of generically powerful hand traps, Ghost Reaper and Winter Chariots. In this series, both Nip and myself will be focused on 1 packs with 1 box of a set. On the deck and play a best 2 out of 10, and the winner will prize to upgrade the deck. However, in each episode, we will open another box of the next set that was released in the product. Constantly upgrading our decks, but we duel each other at the end of the episode. This Yu-Gi-Oh! Progression series. Click the affiliate links in the description and use code SEMO5. And clicking the TCG Player affiliate link before you shop helps support us to provide you with more amazing content.
Very excited stuff, ladies and gentlemen. As of today, I've started a pitch stream. Now, progression series. Got energy going and shining victories. Shining victories is spectacular. And it's not that incredible announcement. But first things first, we got to spin. Winners. A wild card is super quick pick up Twitch Twister. Not allowed to have back row series. Also, I'll take the tournament packs to get a scope matchup. Well, as it's partial. Tournament packs as expected. I always say, I'm expecting really hopping on to you guys might throw. So TS pack 1 today, baby. Multi Dark Law, multi Dawn Thrash, I'm pretty sure all these are actually. Hey, we're looking. Poker back. No multi. Just those two. I get lucky, get them. Pack number 1. Yes, pack 1, baby. First, again. Gold on bird. Never dragon, though. Wouldn't it be wonderful? Minion Breakers of Shadows. This would have been actually ridiculous. Pack number 2. Poker back. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Another battle. Summoning Curse was cheeky. Velvet Jugger. What it's limited. First, didn't want much to ask for a guitar. Evidently not, baby. That's actually probably the first. A lot of things. Get a guitar and Velvet. Then look at how strategy. But it's shiny victory.
Okay, so maybe last episode wasn't the best idea. I kind of got tunneled in on thinking I shouldn't go Pendulum because I was worried Gage was going to side very heavily for it, which to be fair, he did. But I was also worried about Twin Twister, like Breakers of Shadow and Twin Twister is just like notoriously bad news for Pendulums, but he didn't pull any, so maybe this is the opportunity for us to pivot back because, maybe he's not going to suspect we go with it. We'll have to see, but are in the loser circle, and we're going to be talking about the next set after Breakers of Shadow, Shining Victory. Now, a lot of people may remember this set for my support, but there's a few other cards that are worth discussing in here as well. We get plenty of additional from house support, but four house stuff's really weird in our format. Again, I guess Gage got 2 Pendulum Swords, so like maybe he can actually play that deck and it's viable for him. But there's also the Luna Lights, and Luna Lights are really strong, except we are missing a few key pieces of their support. Tiger's in here, it's currently banned, but in our format it would be at 3. And so for having another sort of like rank engine, this could be something we go down in the future if we can get the right cards. Fortunately, this archetype is actually very low rarity. Moving on along, these are the cards people remember. The Blue Eyes support was huge for the release of Shining Victories. It made Blue Eyes the best deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! For like a few weeks. It was actually a really strong deck over the OCG, but the TCG had a bit of a different track record with it. Dragon Spirit of Light, Sage with Eyes of Blue, Master with Eyes of Blue, White Stone of Ancients, all of these cards are just crazy. Also, the Immortal Mages are in here as well, and this is important for Goliath, which is also good for locking players out of the extra deck, but I think Gage actually did pull a copy of Blue Eyes back in LOB, but I think you're going to need more than one copy, and plus there's no alternative if you want to make that deck viable. Spinos, I don't actually know how to pronounce that, is in this set as well. Another piece of Dynamist support. I'm actually considering that for this episode because I think it's actually a fairly decent archetype, and obviously with Master Pendulums, it's even more broken than it should be, and this is actually a pretty decent card. Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries is a really cool card, but I think it's going to be tough in the progression series because that requires to have the exact card in our extra deck to stop the card in his extra deck. It depends on how high rarity the card might be, but if we do pull this, maybe it comes up. Also, Despot 009, the Despots just keep coming. He's going to be on Despot again. Like, I already know it. He does not need more support for this archetype. Thankfully, because we are on a new ban list, reasoning, I think, goes to 1, so fortunately, we're not going to be seeing as much bullshit with that card as we have with Max. Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, the cover card for Shining Victories, is a monster, but it is difficult to summon. I think we'll try to fit it in if we pull it, but obviously we need to be playing some sort of synchro package for that to happen. Oh, of course, how can I forget that there is the Despot field spell in this deck as well. Despot base. All Despots gain 500 attack and defense, and once per turn reveal any number of Despot cards in your hand, shuffle them into the deck, draw the same number of cards. You can banish a bunch of cards to be able to shuffle all cards from your opponent's hand, field, and graveyard into deck. I'm pretty sure it gauges on Despots, which, let's be honest, he's probably going to throw this in because, I mean, although it doesn't generate him advantage, it basically allows him to mulligan for more cards. Any extra attack boost is also just crazy. I'm not looking forward to this episode. Eruption is also another card I was waiting for to go the Dynamist route. If a Dynamist monster you control is destroyed by a battle or card effect, target a card your opponent controls destroyed. So that means any time one of our Dynamists would die, that we can take something out with it. And so we didn't have access to this previously, and I think this is just another card to help push Dynamist over the edge. And so if we do go that route, we will probably play this. Also, Drowning Mirror Force is just an absurd secret rare. I mean, this could just absolutely steal games. We also have a handful of Cosmos support in this set as well. A lot of people remember Dark Lady. Landwalker did see some play as well. Dark Planet also was played, I believe, as a 1 of, sometimes a 2 of in some of the Cosmo decks. 4,000 attack can't be targeted. I mean, that's pretty sizable. Scaredy Lion is a card that if we decide to go to the Cosmo route, we may have to play this because, remember, the super rare memory pack, this is super rare. We need more pilots. The problem. We have lots of ships, but we don't have the monsters that can really tag into them. We have Sword Troopers, we have Wicked Witch, and so honestly, we may have to play Scaredy Lion if we want to play Cosmo. We also have stuff like the Kaijus in here as well. We have a pretty big amount of Kaijus, but no Slumber, unfortunately. I know Gage has a lot of those. Fire King Island, I guess, is important for Cosmo too. You can pop the ships in your hand to trigger them, so that's pretty nice for consistency. Other than that, though, that's really all there is to discuss. We do have to open our pity pack, so let's go ahead and do that. OTS pack 1, only one pack though. Oh, there's a Joker. I know Gage was actually fiending for those. Monster Gate, Skull Servant, it's kind of whatever. So let's go ahead and crack open 24 packs of Shining Victory.
Number 1. Flip it up. Nothing too special, honestly. I'm looking at it. The guy me used to it matters. Ultimate Falcon, not a bad suit. We get Wave of the Dragon, Destruction. Alex has all the back row. That's what I'm going to start to punch. I do plan on breaking the spell out. Unaffected by everything. He's a fucking 10. First Ultra Rare Stardust, Severe Divine Right. And its materials is already. Oh my goodness.
Alright, you guys, so 24 packs of Shining Victories coming right up. I have no idea what the hell this white bar is here at the bottom, so I'm going to have to scroll all the way down here to do this. First pack, the Fire King Island's pretty good. I guess if we're going to go the Cosmo route, I would like to see a playset of this. Everything else is kind of bad. Okay, there's our first copy of Spino, so I'm happy to see that. Again, if we do want to go the Dynamist route, I want playsets of this as well as the trap card. There's a Thunder King Kaiju as well. More Kaijus, I'm not going to complain about that. Well, there's our first ultra rare. It is Dragon Spirit of Light. Unfortunately, we're not really going to be able to take advantage of this card because, again, we don't really have the Blue Eyes package to support playing Blue Eyes deck. Really cool pull, which we could use it, but unfortunately we can't. Okay, there's one of our secret rares, or I guess a secret rare since we're not guaranteed to get them, of Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherry. So I did talk about this in the overall set discussion. I could actually play this. This could be something to kind of cut him off some of his powerful secret or Xyz monsters. I guess it cuts him off like Leo at the very least. I'll have to think about this one. This one's a bit tricky because we don't have the right cards and this isn't that good, but it could be something we use to combat strategies in the future. Also a Dynamist option. Happy to see.
Oh, there we go. Perform a Palm on Ice. You think a rare pickup. This is something that Irish, which is structure deck. That's Irish. We're going to make the best use of it here. Just to scale 8 in an odd eyes monster. This is also pretty friendly. I've seen you play today. Nasty. Oh my god, there we go. Left here. Wow. Oh, I think that's. This actually makes Draco face off a live card for us. Go for it. We have Luster. And we only have one Draco face off now. So might be worth playing maybe just because it beats face off. 8 eyes, a massive card back in the day. Everybody wanted to play those blue eyes, but definitely don't have strategy. We do have blue eyes, white dragon. No alternative or anything.
We're about halfway through the opening. Haven't really gotten much else, but I think this is like my third or fourth copy of Cattle Call, which is unfortunate. I wish that was like a playset of Scaredy Lion or something, so I at least maybe have Cosmo on the table. It's unfortunate. Let's see what else we can do. Wow, another secret rare. It's unfortunate that it's like one of the ones we really can't use, being Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon. Damn, if we actually had like a Blue Eyes core, that'd be cool. We had no alternative, so I don't know how good it would be. would be. It's a really cool card. Again, I guess it's like a 0-9, I suppose. I mean, I don't even think, yeah, you need a Blue Eyes monster specifically, so there's like no way we can't play this. Another ultra rare Amorphous Persona, a card that we're never going to use, to be honest. I think this might complete our playset of Dynamist Eruption. I think we need one more Spinos if we want to be able to have all the cards for that, so that's pretty cool. Still got like another third of a pack opening, so let's hope for the best.
Red Dragon. Church. Left on. Dragons. Wait. Will not be useless. That's the Lecter. Lecter was pretty clutch. I really didn't expect much from this set, I'll be honest. I'm pretty sure Alex is thinking the same thing. Just really not that good impressions. Especially compared to Breakers and Shadows. As you can see, I'm flipping through the class packs. There's our 09, but I'm pretty sure we got 3 by now, but last pack, I don't know what to say. I think it's more like a good card. There's Rogue. It's all together, dude. I can like it. That's about it. Just like I guess I really can't complain about the pretty nice. But, what in the collection? Go the deck. I got a shroud already.
This deck's actually kind of interesting. Rise to Full Height is just like this weird card that's come up at times in Rogue Strategy, so this may be something to explore. Also, Ultimate Falcon, when we get to Waking the Dragon in a later set, this is a card that we can actually pull off of that, and I am almost certain there is no way in Progression Series that this card can be outed except for like a Kaiju. So Gage is just very gung-ho about popping my back row if we do manage to get Waking the Dragon. This could be a win condition in and of itself, so I'm happy to see this. That's another copy of Persona. There's so many better Ultra Rares we could have gotten, and I mean, like, the bar's not really set that high for this set, but god, that sucks. Alright, you guys, only a few packs left to go. Let's hope for the best here and see what we get. It's an Ultra Rare, actually, Unwavering Bond. This is a kind of cool card for pendulum-oriented decks, but death spots are weird because, like, they have pendulum scales, but they don't really, like, rely on them, so I don't know if that card's that good. I guess it's, like, an okay pickup, better than a lot of the Super Rares, to be honest. Oh, there's a Sage with Eyes of Blue, another card that just really doesn't do anything for us, unfortunately. Last pack, maybe we can get something good. Let's see it. And no, we just get the Amorphous Ritual Monster. Well, I mean, it's okay. I mean, I think we got the minimum of what we were expecting in terms of, like, Fire King Islands, the Dino Mist stuff. Like, we got the comments. I think we got a fair bit of light stuff as well. We got a lot of work to do this episode. Gage is going for the 3 in a row, and we have to do our best to make sure that that does not happen.
Yeah, definitely death spot, but this is what we're looking at today. I felt like it would be a huge risk. I pulled those double didn't get the chance to use it. Granted, we are underdog only emergency February, so under the April list. So this deck has significantly. However, we actually have access to cards that one of which we missed the first time around, but we didn't have access to. Skull Combat Joker. I felt like Targo was especially a one like that sort. That's like a pot agree problem. And then Skull Combat is broken. Hackberg, Skull Combat is looking for the opposite. Being normal summons, there's not a lot of them. You have like Villa, which is the best, but also second to just another desperate. The goal of this deck is really just outvalue Alex and then shut down with a card like it's take advantage of a card like User Providence. Jinzo as a pendulum summon is pretty strong because he can't respond with like monstrous special tribute, so that's a pretty big blow out there, and he just doesn't have a way to deal with it. There's a lot of aspects of this deck that I wanted to hone in on, but a lot of them got face off is out one, out two. We actually do have a target for playing face off. I do think it's going to be very unlikely. Chance to. Chicken Games got banned to one. Flush Fire got banned and a Chuck. So we're actually just uncharted territory. Like Flush Fire and a damage Chuck are fun because we're allowed to do, and we're just going to actually make this hodgepodge together. But it is the crossroads. There's perfectly or like Spirit or Skull Combat. Alex like a deck that doesn't have spellcasters. Like I don't know, like a counteract pendulum strap, maybe ignite or something. Doesn't have spellcasters. Just look, I've got better. I just Game of Seal for low one as well. Darless kind of. Give two Kaiju stuff. Dark side deck here. Don't go in second stuff. We're not gonna be sure we know we're going to second. Part of Necro Valley is also shoot deck to it for part. graveyard here, and we're able to trigger them somehow with the strategy. Now, speaking of which, Terraform does have cards. It's just a matter of cards here. Not working with the magic, but I still think it's uninteresting. Pretty easy out of the deck. I am cautiously. It looks like a hodge. It looks like straight Highland. But we're gonna see a big more today. Again, I thought it was just shift an arrow. Now, even if it is out of push, actually, possible questions. I think they're better. Let's give it a try.
Alright, you guys, so this is the deck we are bringing to today's duel. I decided to bring the Ignites out once more. I was considering Dynamo Mist, but the thing is, Kieran is still at 3, not just for this episode, but next episode as well, and then it is going to go to 1. So I figure I want to get as much mileage out of this card as I possibly can, because this is a card I have access to that Gage does not, and this card is just so oppressive and annoying to deal with, so I figure maybe we should try Dynamo Mist or another strategy later. I think we should play to the strengths and actually use some of the cards we have access to. You know, Gage has 3 machine duplication. I might as well use my 3 Kieran to kind of match that. So we're playing Ignites once again. We'll quickly do card by card. 3 Kieran, when it's on the field, you can target a Pendulum monster, the monster cell, and a card that Gage controls. Bounce both back to the hand. You can actually bounce Kieran back as well, which is kind of cool. 1000 monster can't be targeted by opponent's card effects, which is kind of stupid. The card is just ridiculous. I really hope we get to show this off, because we just did it the last time we played Ignite. Pack C is just broken. Gage is playing a deck that special summons like crazy, so I can draw a ton of cards off of this. 2 Ignite Cavalier are level 5, and one of the strongest of the bunch. We have 1 Crusader, 3 copies of Gallon, 3 Paladin, 3 Squire, and 3 Veteran. We also have a Sea Dragoons of Draconia and a Sky Dragoons of Draconia. The reason for this is because we're kind of lacking in high scales, and so these are high scales, and also still happen to be normal monsters, and will fit the theme in order to allow us to pendulum summon a bunch of guys to the field. These also have just like weird pendulum effects that may randomly come up. I highly doubt it, but it's just 4 names for the most part. That's it for the monsters, so there's 21 for the spells, so I actually decided to change the deck up a bit. Last time I was playing a very heavy sort of OTK version of the deck, and I'm still aiming to do that, but if I do lose the die roll and going first, I am playing defensive cards this time around, so I'm not just going like pen 2 and pass. I need to have some sort of disruption for this death spot strategy, because otherwise it gets out of hand way too quickly. So we are playing Book of Food. Book of Food is nice because it kind of checks over 4. It also checks machine duplication. Machine duplication actually resolves on resolution, and so if you flip the monster face down, machine duplication doesn't recognize it as a monster
Feel
that
like I'm
can be
forgetting
and so
stuff
then he won't get to
still.
get any of his guys. We also have a chicken game for see, Dark Hole for like Despots are very vulnerable to mass destruction. We got Heavy Storm, 3 copies of Ignition Phoenix, the Dex field spell, and basically might as well just be more Ignite names and Instant Fusion just to give us some synergy in the rank 4, rank 5 department if we absolutely need it. I would want to play 1 though, because I don't want to brick on this card because it is a hard one to turn. Bottom 3, Raigeki, Snatch Shield, and 3 Terraform to be not only to Ignition Phoenix, but Chicken Game as well. Then the traps, we are playing 5 of them. I am on Compulse, because similar to Book of Food, I can Compulse an 0 back to Gage's hand, or I can also compulse something that's going to be targeted by machine duplication, so that way machine duplication will not resolve and it will just fizzle. We also have Quaking Mirror Force, another card that's very good against death spots because they can just set them all face down. Also can out weird stuff like Neo, which you can make very easily in the deck, so definitely want to have this in here. Oppression and Emptiness are here just so if we go first and we actually set up, if we fire this, we probably just win, and Torrential Tribute to blow out the board if we absolutely have to. For the extra deck, a few fusions for instant fusion. We have Goyo Guardian, Ignister Prominence, as well as Yazi. So I was actually playing Gale in this deck when I was trying to test it out. I wanted to just play more cards that are synergistically going to always make the pendulum fly. So Gale was actually enabling some synchro plays. I just didn't take these out. I could maybe like Snatch Steal one of his tutors. He does play a few of them. And then if that's the case, I can like use that with any of my Ignites and make one of these synchros. That could come up, but some of the other Exceed monsters I have are terrible anyway, so I don't think they're matter, but I've said that before, and it's been yes. Blade Armor for damage, these are warriors. We have Karen Gorgon for targeting redirection. Gaga Cowboy to steal games, and I guess to also clear boards as well, as we saw in the last episode. Gaia Dragon maybe for some piercing. We have Levier to be able to do something with the level 3s, I guess. Lightning Shidori, we do have this for the QBs in the side deck because they are level 4, so that's cool. We have Ragnar here, which is probably the most relevant card in the matchup. Papal Operative could come up, and then we have Sharp Fortress for damage as well. And then the side deck, Denko Sekka for going second. 3 copies of QB just to switching it to our one copy of Magic Spectrum Tempest. This is essentially just a negation that we can have that's searchable, so that's why we only need one of it. The plan is if we're going first, we can put in all of these cards and that way have a better must-go strategy. Lightning Vortex as an additional format that isn't really conditional. A few spell trappable cards in the form of Mystical Space Typhoon and 2 copies of Twin Twister. These are really good against his Pendulum Scales because they actually get value off of it. This is more to go after like his Oppression, his Limit Reverses, his Emptiness, so I think going after the back row makes more sense. And then the traps, the Tempest, as aforementioned. I'm playing one over card does kind of reciprocate and hit me as well because Ignition Phoenix boosts my monsters. However, I think this just works as another one-sided four-white potentially if he starts going off. I can use this, just clear everything out, and maybe be able to get a game. There are 2 copies of Raigeki Break, so in a similar line of logic to Compulse and Book of Moon, I wanted another card that can stop OO but also can stop stuff like Vanity's Emptiness, Royal Oppression, and also make it so that machine duplication won't resolve properly. And so it was between Phoenix Wing Class, and I like this a little better because I don't want him getting the 004 back. If he gets the 004 back and I don't kill him, then he can just use it again next turn. So I need another defensive card. Geki Break will actually just deal with it entirely. So I think it's slightly better in this case, which is why I'm deciding to play this. I'm not sure about this one, but it seems pretty okay. And then we have the 3 Tyrant Throws in here as well. Again, if we resolve it, we're going to win, but obviously it's a bit heavy pipe dream. I can't wait to see what Gabe's brought. It's probably going to be Despots, let's be honest, but perpetual cards on our hand, ladies and gentlemen, so let's not make you wait any longer. It's time to duel. Gage, what can I say? Your victories have been shining quite bright in the progression series. So congratulations with that, buddy. But, you know, I can't let you go on the streak. I can't allow you to just, start one of the all of them again. So we're going to have to put an end to that. I don't know how you feel about that. Is that a good idea? Down. Let's keep it pretty happy. Uncle Paul, I admit, last episode was not my finest one. And in all fairness, I didn't draw a single trap until I backseat you. So, if I draw something like that, maybe that would have helped. But I think in all fairness, that was probably not the right deck to say. That was like bringing it back to what gunplay. Those Despots. Yeah.
Oh, you can make lead without slime anymore.
I feel like it's a bit top heavy, but it's definitely like I feel like lately it's just been like, what was the I don't remember, but yeah, that one, and then we
That's
had
pretty
Dimension
nice.
Chaos and Breaker to Shadow. It was like bam, bam, like 1-2 punch, and then that's kind of whatever. Yeah. Bad attitude. Just that. Like the only thing that like redeeming merit, like the weakness stuff. And even looking back, it's just this is a weird set. Actually, I think all of yeah, but I don't that set was just so easy. Yeah, it's so funny. Like, you look back and like tell me I was like the best deck for like a few weeks, and like people just laugh. Because it's like you're looking for cards, and it's like, how is this deck like that good? And it's so funny. I mean, just bring shadows. Actually, there's a lot of changes. Athletic. But there was obviously that one set of changes. So what? So coming off that shot, that's not quite. It would have been the next Tier 0 format had they not done that, so thankfully they did decide to clean up. Thank you. Alright, let's go and shout out patron Shane Corin. Thank you. Good luck, Gage. Second, once again, I think I'm going to go second. Gotta go. Okay, so maybe just play something differently altogether. Alright, good luck, buddy. Let's go. Good luck. I'll go see my I will go on my terror. Chicken. Okay. I'm going to summon cold one, my moves now are alright. I feel that. Yeah, it's fine. Go on. Pick up my yeah, it's a deck that has only monsters that like max out at like 500,000 attack. So maybe not the best thing. They're not gonna be actually. That's a part. So, yeah, just, copy of this. I'm gonna do it. Alright, good luck, Gage. I'll go see my patron Shane Corin. Thank you. Alright, good luck, buddy. Let's go. Good luck. I'll go second. Good luck.
I gotta sleep.
Shiny pictures on that card.
Okay.
I feel a rise.
Wow.